Welcome to She is Resilient, a podcast for women on their healing journeys who are ready to start living their most authentic and empowered lives outside of survival mode. I'm your host, Tatiana, trauma and somatic therapist, as well as a holistic coach, and I'm on a mission to help more women heal their nervous systems. Each week, me and my guests are going to get real and vulnerable about the experiences that led us to becoming the empowered and resilient women we are today. You'll leave this podcast with the skills, knowledge, and inspiration to start creating the life you deserve. Because if another woman can do it, so can you. Welcome to another episode of She is Resilient. Today we have another guest, Stephanie. Stephanie, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do for a living?
Yes. First of all, thank you, Tatiana, for having me on your podcast. I am beyond honored to be here to share my story. But yes, my name is Stephanie Hall. I am a mental health advocate, activist, and speaker. I am a newly certified life coach, and I am also the host of my own podcast called the Mental Health Slayer Podcast. But basically, all I do is I mainly speak about my story of healing holistically, how I went on a whole healing journey, been on this journey for 5 years, how
Mhm.
it's opened me up spiritually, and I utilize my social media platforms to tell my story and share it with others. So yes,
I
that's
love
pretty
that.
much it about me.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much for being willing to share your story, not only here, but also on your platforms, because I think that it's so important to spread more awareness on mental health. And every single person is experiencing something, right? We all go
Yes,
through mental health struggles at some point in
right.
our lives, whether it's small or severe. So tell the audience a little bit more about your story and how you became this empowered version of yourself.
Right. So it started 5 years ago. I was 35 at the time. And I remember this clear as day. Um, I had a moment where I went to the doctor and I had a new issue that arose. And it was severely small, but it was bothering the crap out of me. Right. And so I went to the doctor. I told her about it. And, she just prescribed me some cream. It was like a rash that I was experiencing, which I've had eczema for years, right? And I felt defeated at this appointment. It was the first time in years that I felt that bad. I've had moments where I went to the doctor and I was like, oh my gosh, we're not getting anywhere. This particular day, I was like, this was like the last straw for me. I didn't feel like she did enough diagnosing. I feel like she just, took me in and took me back out, say, hey, here's a cream and prescription, kept it moving, right? That was the day I took my power back. I
Mm,
said, something has to change. That was the day that I said, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired.
yeah.
And so from then on, I started doing like changes physically, right? So I started by changing my diet. Um, I wouldn't say it was bad, but it wasn't good. Um, I did little things changing my diet. A year went by and I saw some progress. It was good, but it was about maybe a year and a half later, towards the end of 2020. I had another episode with mental health. So I was making the changes physically, at least some, right? But I realized at that point, I'm still struggling mentally. I'm not doing something right. Something's not going on, right?
Mhm.
Um, I had my last attempt of taking my life. And during this process, I repented to God. I said, God, I'm sorry. And at the time, I had actually shoved a bunch of pills down my throat.
Mm.
When I said, God, I'm sorry, everything came up. Because at that time, I'm
Wow.
starting to feel lethargic. My heartbeat was going really slow. I started feeling really weird. And I was like, this was the first time that I had been through this. I said, this is me. This isn't right. And when
Yeah.
I said that, everything came up. I went to bed, had the best sleep that I had in years because Stephanie had insomnia, probably most of her life, right? And then I had a vision that was given me the next day, and it actually showed me my purpose in life. And so for a long time, I always questioned what my purpose was in life. And literally, I had a dream that showed me that night. That next month, I catapulted and actually started um, the first platform I started, which is I Shine Period, which is now a women's holistic healing and spiritual empowerment movement. And I
Mm.
started by going online, and I started on my old YouTube channel and just started talking about my story. I started a group on Facebook, started talking about my story on there, started to do the initiating of forming my nonprofit. And then from since then up until now, I went on this whole journey of really intense mental and emotional healing. So I
Mm.
got connected with a group of therapists that really spoke to me, mind, body, and spirit. And mind you, I did therapy for years, at least 10 years. These were the first group of people that really, really helped me in the way that I needed to be helped. Um, I opened up spiritually, and I was led spiritually to do open up my spiritual gifts, the things that I do on that end. And then I started healing more physical and doing more of the emotional healing work, which a lot of us don't realize that we deal with, and we're still carrying past emotional pain and trauma, right? So
Yeah.
this was pointed out to me. I said, oh, yeah, let's do something about it. My therapists were digging in with me. I was like, whoa, what the heck is this? But we did that. Then I started doing inner child healing last year. I
Mm.
just want to say how ghetto that is, but it was breakthrough, breaking ground, right? And so I'm like at the very towards the end of it, but I am now 70. I've lost 70 pounds naturally. Because at the
Wow.
time I was like maybe 240. I'm only 5'5". So I'm a little short, small little thing. I was inflamed, and I lost 70 pounds naturally. I've been able to maintain it, which is
Yeah.
good for a woman at the age of 40, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I no longer take any form of medications for anything. And I
Um,
used to be on medications for physical health issues. I had fibromyalgia, um, migraines, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, small
mhm.
fiber neuropathy because I used to be pre-diabetic. I mean, I had arthritis. Um, I had a slew of things, but I no longer take anything for anything. I haven't been to the doctor in 3 years, except for women doctor, right?
Yeah.
Um, I haven't been on mental health meds in 3 years. I go to therapy when I need it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
God is my main therapist. So shout out to God. But I've made a huge transformation from all that. Came my business, what I was meant
Mhm.
to do, my podcast,
Yeah.
everything that I did with that. And it actually turned me into the version of the woman that I was always meant to be.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. You touched on so many different points. And the one that I really want to kind of talk about a little bit more is the fact that you were on all of these medications and you are no longer on these medications, mental health and for physical health. And I
Right.
want people to really understand that you don't need to be on medication for the rest of your life. And it is possible. You are living
Yeah.
proof that you do not need to be on medication, whether it's for mental health or for physical health, for the rest of your life if you don't want to.
Right. Exactly. Because of how society in this world is structured, right? Um, we have become dependent on those things for various reasons. We will not get political because Stephanie can, but we won't do it here, right? Um, but I thought that that was the only way.
Mhm.
And I started having issues when I was a child.
Yeah,
I was diagnosed with migraines at the age of 12.
yeah.
And according to my family history, that was normal. But as
Mhm.
I got older, I said, this isn't normal because by the time I turned 18, I had a small stroke
Mhm.
my
Wow.
senior year of high school, and it left me paralyzed on my left side partially for 3 weeks. I went through partial paralysis, my left arm, my left leg for 3 weeks. After that, it took a long time to recover because that's when I found out, without really knowing, that hey, your nervous system is totally out of whack, sis. And it wasn't just because of the migraines, right? It was also because of the past emotional pain and trauma. But because of the doctors, they focused on the physical aspect. um when I did this journey, I did a lot of research on holistic methods, holistic therapy.
Mhm.
I went to a holistic nutritionist because it
Mhm.
got to a point where I couldn't eat anything, and
Mhm.
I said something isn't right.
Yeah.
She actually took some allergy test results I had done, and these were just the environmental ones. She
Mhm.
took that, showed me what's called a FODMAP, which is what you compare the allergy results to the FODMAP, and it actually tells you based on your environmental allergy what you can and can't eat, right? So she also gave me a vitamin that I could take because I found out, hey, you're pretty much allergic to everything, right?
Mhm.
So you can replace every single thing that they're giving you from a pill perspective, IV perspective, whatever it is, with something holistic because this world was created to heal us. We got plants and things right outside of our backyards that's
Mhm.
meant to heal us. That's meant to. I saw something on TikTok where somebody had something in their yard, and it's a plant used that creates soap.
Yeah.
We have it here on earth. It's just that we have been trained and conditioned to say that this was the only option. Now, I know we probably have people that deal with more extreme cases with things like cancer and stuff like that that's saying, hey, no, I don't believe that. You can do it too. I know for some people, it may be too late, unfortunately. You may be at the far end. And I'm sorry. I so hate that people had to endure that knowing that that wasn't the only option, right? But if
Yeah.
it's not too late for you, go to a holistic doctor. There are things like a soursop bitter that is for inflammation, right? That I
Yeah.
heard helps um re- what heal cancer. I mean, there's more to it, right? But I am telling you guys, you can do it. There are better natural options out here because think about it. These medications, when you take it, what does it do? It only treats the symptoms.
Mhm.
And when I got to that age when I was 35, I said, you know what? I don't want to keep treating the symptoms. I don't want to keep putting band-aids on stuff. I need to know the source of the issue. Because
Yeah.
when you find out the source of the issue, that's how you eliminate it, right?
Yes.
So it takes a little
Absolutely.
digging. But
Yeah.
when you do that,
1000%.
even these things that they say that were are inherited, y'all, I haven't had a migraine in years. And if I do have a migraine, it's something emotional I got going on or something spiritual that I deal with. If I have any pain on my body, especially when there are times I still have some nerve pain from time to time, but it's nothing what I used to deal with the fibromyalgia and the arthritis, right? But
Mhm.
it just tells me my emotions are out of whack. I got to go deal with something. And depending
Exactly.
on where you feel it on in your body will tell you what emotion it is, guys. This stuff is on the internet.
Bingo. Yes,
Yes,
1000%. Yes, you are on the target. I love this so much. And I think it's also important to recognize that all of like you don't just get cancer out of nowhere. And I know
right.
this is going to be a controversial topic, and I
Very.
get it. I get it. And you don't just get a chronic illness out of nowhere. You don't get autoimmune diseases out of nowhere. You don't get
Right.
migraines out of nowhere. The list can go on. These illnesses and diseases don't just appear out of nowhere. You don't get a stroke out of nowhere. Your body is always communicating to you, and it's
Yes.
your responsibility to tune into your body and
Yes.
understand what the body is trying to tell you. And you've talked about inflammation, and that's truly what it is, right? Inflammation
Mhm.
leads to disease. And what
Yes.
causes inflammation? Literally everything that is
Everything.
for us, right? Like
Yes.
stress, trauma,
Food.
the food that you eat, everything is energy. And so it's really going back to living a life that's intentional and that supports your body and your entire nervous system. And I want to rewind a little bit too, because you said something really important that, after healing yourself, you were able to create the business that you have now, and you're able to be successful and do all of these things for yourself now, which wouldn't have been possible if you didn't heal your nervous system. And so I'm curious to know a little bit more about what were some of those healing modalities that you were really engaging in. So I know that you said that you seeked out a holistic nutritionist, but I'm also curious to know for like your therapies and other healing modalities, what were those kinds of approaches? So I know that you said inner child work, but what were some of the
Mhm.
other ones?
Um, I remember that I told my therapist and I talked to them about, my history with therapy. They picked up on the fact, oh, she's farther along than most people. I told them, I need that inner digging. I need you guys to take a shovel. Let's go down deep, right? Um, these therapists brought up stuff that even made me go like, ooh, and
Mhm.
Stephanie's a person that's not easily amazed or shocked or shut up. And they shut me up a lot. And it had me thinking about a lot of things. They also opened it up in ways like one of my therapists told me, hey, if you got to cuss and fuss with me, do it right here, do it right now. Because, especially with where I was at the time and still now, I'm the only one in my family that has been healing. And
Mm,
so, with the people that I wanted to heal with, they couldn't heal with me because they weren't ready to have the conversations that were needed to have. Right. So she said, hey, you talk to me as if you're talking to that person, get it out.
mhm,
Not only that, them teaching me how to journal.
mm,
And if I couldn't say it to them, I said it in that journal. And
mhm,
I'm telling you, everything came out in that journal. I still got some of the stuff, right?
uh-huh,
Um, Just really, I think it was more of this in the inner child. Oh my goodness. It was weird because I had certain things come up where I had to actually confront the issue. And then learning now from a healthy perspective, oh, Stephanie, you got anger problems, sis. Oh no, you gotta go handle that. Oh, you have a problem with allowing people to control you because you've always been a sweet person and they think that they could just get over you, which that is a part of I grew up in a narcissistic background, a
mhm,
lot of chaos, things of
yeah,
that sort. It was really getting down to that root, doing things like implementing self-care for the first time. And it wasn't just like, oh, just getting your nails done, taking yourself shopping. No, like practicing a lot of mindfulness.
mhm,
Meditation has been
mhm,
my biggest thing. That meditation actually healed my insomnia.
yeah,
Um, and so now if I can't sleep, I know exactly why. And it's for a short period of time. So um, what else? And mainly just digging in with the research about holistic methodology, the bitters. I take a lot of bitters.
mhm.
Understanding my
And
body.
for people who don't understand what that is, can you explain that a little bit?
So a bitter is basically a how do I want to say that? A herb in liquid form, right? Like a purified, broken down liquid form. For people that have digestive issues, which I had for years, right? Which, if you experience a lot of stress, that can cause digestive issues as well, right?
Mhm,
It was easier for me to take the bitters because it works faster. It goes down smoother. I mean, it works like instantly, right? These are actual liquids that you get off of something as simple as Amazon, right? And one of my biggest ones are, I always take a soursop bitter, a sea moss bitter, and a, what's the other one? It's gonna come back to me. But those are there's three main ones that I take, and they do everything that I need, tackle everything that I needed, because I was a person that had a lot of issues, and I said I gotta find something that tackles every single thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do my best to still implement those methods now. I have to, just to keep myself intact, right? It's one of
Yeah.
the main things that keeps me out of jail, out of prison, and doing other things, right? And staying on track. I mean, let's be
Yeah.
honest, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yes.
true. So tell us a little bit about some of your daily practices.
So the first thing I do is, I get up. As a person that experienced depression on a very intense level, and I'm going to be very transparent about this because I know some people can vibe with me on this. There are days when you don't feel like showering. There are days you don't feel like brushing your teeth. There are days you don't feel like getting out of bed. So
Yeah.
I made whether you have an odor or not, right? I'm just being real. I made a mission that, hey, I started getting up every day in the morning, sometimes at night too. I take 1 to 2 showers a day, sometimes three.
Mhm.
Water is also healing for me as well. I noticed that. So being that everything is energy, sometimes people can project negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions onto you, right? Based on issues you may have with them. You can do it with yourself. And so
Mhm.
when I feel that negative energy, I'm like, no, let me go wash this off. Let me go wash this off. So
Yeah.
I make sure I do that every day. I go walking almost every day. I've gotten to the point where I started exercising, but I had to be careful because I dealt with I have scoliosis, so I had to be careful with my back, and my muscles are getting better because of the things I've been taking, right?
Yeah.
But I walk every day, and I walk 3 to 5 miles every day at the
Mhm.
least.
Wow.
This is a person that couldn't even stand up for more than 10 minutes 5 years
Yeah.
ago on her legs
Yeah.
because of the intense pain that I had. Um, I do some reading daily. It goes between reading a book, reading my Bible,
Mhm.
or I also do a lot of writing. I didn't realize how great of a writer I actually am.
Yeah.
So I write, my blog. I write for my blog. I write for several articles sometimes. Things that's on my mind, body, spirit. Journaling,
Mm.
um, meditation. Unfortunately, I can't do that every day, but I do it as often as I can because
Yeah.
that is the main thing that keeps
Mhm.
Stephanie centered.
Yes.
So that is one of the few things of my self-care routine. I had to change my diet too, of
Mhm.
actually going vegan. So
Okay.
that has helped a lot as well. So
Wow, yeah. That is amazing, and you are really a true inspiration for a lot of
thank
people,
you.
and it's very clear that you've been able to develop that resiliency in your nervous system. How
Yes.
amazing that you could be in this state of survival so much that you wanted to take your own life at some point, and to
Yes.
be here now talking to all of us about your journey and your story, like, that is the definition of resiliency, and
Ooh,
I really appreciate you for being here and for sharing
thank
a
you.
little bit about your story with us, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on building resiliency for people who feel like they're at this point in their life where they are feeling hopeless. Where do you suggest that they start to build that resiliency?
It all starts with you. And I don't know why I feel like crying saying this.
Yeah.
um, it all starts with you.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that we deal with a world where people are always blaming somebody else for something or dealing with someone else for something. No, you have to take responsibility for yourself and your healing, right?
Mhm.
You have to hold yourself accountable for your thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, and
Mhm.
actions.
Mhm.
It starts with you. That is always easier said than done, right? So, being that it does start with you, you have to go within, but you have to find your source of inspiration. For me, it was God, it was spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a person that I grew up in a religious setting.
Mm-hmm.
I knew God, I knew that He existed, but I never knew who God was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for real.
Yeah.
So that was my source of inspiration. And then from there, it just catapulted. The biggest thing that I learned from that is that no one in this world can validate my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Now, my therapist did, right? Because that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do, and they understood. But I don't expect that anymore. I don't deal with those feelings of neglect, rejection, or abandonment anymore because since I know that God is my source of inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
God created me for a purpose. I'm living and walking in it now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the reason why I'm here. I realize I have a reason to be alive.
Yes, absolutely. I
I
love
was
that.
called to do something. I'm called to speak to these people and tell them that this stuff is possible, right?
Yeah.
So you may be feeling alone. You may be feeling hopeless. And this is why I advocate mainly for suicide prevention,
Mm-hmm.
because those are the ones that are mainly the strongest friends sometimes. They
Mm-hmm.
help everybody else and don't have anyone else to talk to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're the ones at the bottom of the barrel that feel like, oh, no one sees me, no one hears me, no
Mm-hmm.
one helps me.
Mm-hmm.
They may feel like they don't have a voice.
Yeah.
You do, you just haven't found it yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a reason to be here on this earth.
Yeah.
Do some soul searching, sit with yourself and say, hey, talk to yourself, talk to the universe, talk to the God, talk to your spirit guides, talk to your ancestors, whoever or whatever you talk to, because it's all the same. We
Mm-hmm.
just all call it differently, right?
Yeah.
Find your source of creation and inspiration. Speak to it, talk to it. It will talk back to you and reveal to you, show you that love that is in you is within. The
Mm.
biggest thing is that when you tap into that self love, baby, it's on from there.
Oh
It's
my
on from
gosh,
there.
I love that. Oh my gosh, so much wisdom, so many gems that you just dropped right now. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for
Yes,
sharing all of that wisdom with us.
yes.
How can people connect with you if they want to see more of you or if they want to work with you? Where can they find you?
Yes, so you can go to my beacons, which is beacons.ai/ I shine, I rock CEO. Or if you just search for me on Google, Stephanie M. Hall, some of my platforms should come up. On my beacons, you'll see my information about my women's holistic healing and spiritual empowerment movement. You'll see information about my podcast. You'll see my this social platforms. You'll also see all the interviews I've done within the past year. So
Mhm.
yeah, check it out. You can
Amazing.
email me from there.
Yeah. And are
Connect
you
with
on
me on social
Instagram?
media. Yes, I'm on Instagram. So on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, X, right? Threads, everywhere. My username is I Shine, I Rock CEO. Yeah.
Perfect, amazing, and I will add all of that into the show notes for all of you who are listening.
Yes, this is awesome. Thank you. Again, this was an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to spread my message yet again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you absolutely loved this episode, I would so appreciate it if you subscribed and left a review on Apple Podcast, or take a screenshot and share this episode on social media. Don't forget to tag me at tatiana.holistic.coach. The more nervous systems we reach, the more generational cycles we break, and the more we contribute to a kinder and safer world. And if you're looking for somatic healing services, send me a DM and I'd love to chat on how I can support you. I'll see you in the next episode.